Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Stay Visionary podcast. I'm your host, Ed Moran. Today, we're joined by Renee Fry, the founder and CEO of Gentreo, a groundbreaking platform that's redefining estate planning for the modern digital era. Renee's turning what used to be a complicated, expensive legal process into something that's simple, affordable, and built for families of every generation. We'll dive into how Gentreo got started and where AI fits into the future of estate planning and what it means to truly protect what matters most. Hello there. How you doing, Renee?
I am good. Thank you for having me today. It's really nice to be here.
Great. I am so happy to see. I want to get into what your company is all about. But first, what inspired you to launch Gentreo and how did your personal experience shape the mission?
So, about almost a decade ago, our parents went to update their estate plan, get things done. They'd had a basic will, but they knew they wanted to do a little bit more, and it cost them $10,000. So, most
Wow.
normal families do not have $10,000, and my parents are a normal family, like your average next door neighbor. But all of a sudden, a $10,000 bill arrives, and that's to do, some of the things around the trust and healthcare proxies and stuff and wills. And so my sister and I left the lawyer's office and said, okay, someone needs to build a more affordable solution to this. And then we looked at each other and both said at the same time, okay, we should. And so that's how Gentry was born, because we realized that the average American could not afford estate planning. And then our CTO, our chief technology officer, he had just paid $10,000 to close his grandmother's $5,000 estate. And then our chief legal officer had been a long time estate planning attorney and said, I've always thought there should be a way to reach more people, because she was always helping people after they realized they didn't have a plan and they couldn't do what they needed to do. So that's how we all got together and we built Gentreo.
Fantastic. And how does estate planning has always been for, like you said, a lot of money, more to do people? That information seems to be prevalent with people with more well to do means. How are you changing that perception?
Yeah. Well, and anytime you say something, you say the words estate planning, people think that you must have to have mansions and expensive cars and a whole bunch of stuff. And we're like, no, no, everyone has an estate. And so this is where education plays a big part of what we do, because we try to help people. And usually people's homes are their largest asset. We're like, don't you want to protect that? Don't you want to make sure that all the things that you've worked so hard for have the protection they need to go to your family, to the people that you love the most? And so education, and we do a lot with credit unions and banks, but a lot with the credit unions, because they share the mission too of how do you educate your members and help them understand that this is something for everyone, and now it's affordable. So no more excuses. They have to jump in and
Can
get
you
it.
delve into that a little bit more?
Sure. About the affordability part, or which part?
Yeah, actually both. Actually, I think our audience would love to
Yeah,
really.
so two parts. So today, about 80% of Americans do not have an estate plan. So they don't have the documents in place. And an estate plan is two parts. It's while you're living and then after you pass away. And so a lot of people think that estate planning just must be for after you die. It's not true. Documents like your power of attorney, who can make financial decisions for you, and then your healthcare proxy, that's about who can make medical decisions for you if you are not able to make those. Those are documents that you can use while you're alive, and they help you with decisions. Then a living trust is also a document that you can create that helps protect assets, and that's something you create while you're alive. And then the benefit of that is after you pass away, a will typically goes to probate. And so probate is something where, unfortunately, if you have a will, everyone can see your will, and that's where wills are public information. So a living trust is something
I
that
didn't know
avoids
that.
that. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that your will is going to be public. So everyone's going to see who gets what you had, and all that good stuff. So this is where a living trust can be a good choice if you don't want that all to go public. And then Gentreo, we put all that together in one package. And the reason we do that is because a lot of people don't know what they want or what they need. So they may get started with a will and maybe a year or two later jump into doing a living trust. And then the documents like a healthcare proxy and a power of attorney, a lot of times you have to keep those updated because, for instance, the hospital wants to know that you've made decisions, but are they the same decisions you want today and not 10 years ago? And so those documents every 2 years, something like that, always need to be updated. And then we added the digital vault so that you can save and share all that information. And then also lots of other documents and other important information if you have life insurance. Like,
Digital vault. Can you explain more about that? What that is? Because
yeah,
I
so the
I would guess, just like myself, do not know what that is.
Well, so and thank you for saying that because the digital vault is where you can store all kinds of documents online. So you can store the documents that you've created on Gentreo, and you can share the documents with whoever you choose. Or, for instance, if you have an insurance policies have beneficiaries. You can take pictures of those and then you upload them into your Gentreo digital vault, which it always saves it, and then you get to pick and choose who you want to share that picture of that document with so that your children know that there is an insurance policy there. This is who you call. This is how you go about making sure that you can cash out that insurance policy. So the digital vault helps you store all kinds of information, but it also lets you share that information, the pictures, the documents, just the information. We help people fill that out with whomever you choose because you don't want to share everything with everyone that you pick, but maybe you want to share your will with your children, but maybe you want to share your pet information with your pet sitter. So it's picking and choosing what information first that you save and put in your vault, and then who you want to go ahead and share it with. And so that's why for Gentreo, we put all this together. So there's only one price. We don't nickel and dime people because we know that life
For
changes.
everything, there's one for
One
all
price
the
for everything.
categories you mentioned.
Yep. And if you
Okay,
come to Gentreo today, it's only $150. And usually you can find a coupon online. I like coupons. My family can tell you. But
nothing
it
wrong with coupons.
right? And so that's for the first year. And then that's everything from your living trust to your will, the pour over will for the living healthcare proxies, power of attorney, and then the digital vault. And then for each year after, it's only $50, but you can always create any new documents, update, upload, whatever you want. But it's one of those things where we really work to make it affordable for families. And so this is where each person does
Yeah.
need their own membership. But now you can, my parents could have done all this for each person. It would have been $300 instead of 10,000. And
Now,
so
if I'm in California, can I still use your service?
Oh yeah, it's across all 50 states. And that's why it took about 2 years to build because and this is where people need to really watch out because people are like, oh, I'll just use, an online AI tool or something like that. AI is fantastic, but you have to really watch out, especially for legal documents, that everything is state specific. So a healthcare proxy
Yes.
in Massachusetts is different from a healthcare proxy in California, and a will is different. And so it took about 2 years to put all that legal stuff together around what is each state, what are they saying in the way of what you have to put together for your legal documents, and then how do you write those, and then how do you execute those documents too. So all a little bit different.
And how is AI helping you with that? Like specific.
Yeah, so what we do from the Gentrio standpoint is we don't use AI in the legal document creation because when we tested things out, there's fun terms like walled gardens and jumping the walled garden and all those things that I'm sure you know of and you help all kinds of people with. But what we did was we've done some really neat work that we put out around the digital vault. And so the digital vault, we can now tell people what things they're missing, saying like, hey, do you have an insurance policy? You're missing that. Do you want to put that in here? Do you want to share this with people? And so helping people really manage that whole estate and bring it to life for them. And then also we have done some really cool things around helping people get the information that they need and want to learn because we have an extensive library for Genturio around all kinds of documents. So we can't give legal advice, but we can get people to the right place because if you want to learn around a healthcare proxy and things, we can get you the right information. And again, it's not going to be legal advice or anything like that, but it is getting the right information at the right time to folks who need it.
So you've really automated everything into one,
Yep.
what you call the vault.
Yeah. Yep. And it's one of those things too where we have a 93% retention rate now year over year. And so this is where we've proven to the banks, the credit unions, the employers and stuff, folks that we work with, that this is something that people do need. And we do something with life milestones, and we use some AI in the life milestones as well, because no one really wakes up ever saying, huh, getting a will today. Something has to happen, right? Like you have is caring for an aging parent, having a baby, getting married, getting divorced. It's one of those things where you really want to make sure that you're helping people when they're going through those life milestones, that they're getting the documents and they're getting the other kinds of help that they need to be able to prepare for what they're going through.
You could add and subtract, change.
Oh yeah, you can change anything, you can add things, subtract things. And so if you're creating new legal documents, you do have to go get those documents executed. So that means like if you have a new will, it might be in your state that you sign it in front of two witnesses and get it notarized. And
Right.
so a lot of people want to make sure that if they do update those documents, that they understand that until the document is executed, it's not valid in the state. You have to make sure that it gets executed.
Okay. All right. And you said you had a 93%
Yeah,
retain.
retention rate year over year, which is incredible, right?
That is really good. How, yeah, I was just going to ask you, how are you guys going about doing that?
So it's all about making sure that you anticipate and help the customers with what they need. And so it's not just about making sure that you help them create the legal documents, but it's about making sure that you can help be there for them when things happen, because something's going to happen, right? Like, and especially for a lot of people, like if you're caring for an aging parent, you need to be able to find that healthcare proxy. So we have things like if we're responsive design, so you can go to gentreo.com and you can log in. And if that person has shared their healthcare proxy with you, you can get a copy of that. You can get the person's medical information if they've shared that, their medicine list. Like our mother, and God bless her, like our dad had 7 strokes before he passed away. And our mom literally carried around a post-it note with doctors on one side, medication on the other side. And it was always, it's hard, right? And so my mom could never find anything. So when we put together Gentreo, like, wouldn't it be great if we could just you could hit a button and mom could have had all that information, because we know her phone is always with her. She will always have that phone. It's always charged. And so now she can get to that information. We've taken what was a pretty bland legal document, and now we have it so that she can show it to the doctor. She can email it to the doctor. She can have it with her when things matter. She can grab the medication list. So it's all about making sure that it's not just getting things done, but it's being able to use them all in efficient manners.
That is fantastic. Question for you though, with data privacy being so critical in today's age, how do you balance AI efficiency with security and trust, and more so, with your system, with your vault and everything like that?
Yeah, it's paramount, right? Like you have to be so careful about everything. And so, number one, only the user gets to choose who they're going to share or send information with. And so, and then we don't see any of that. And so the users pick and choose who they'll share things with. And then what we're able to do is help them understand with annual reviews and things like that. These are the people that you've chosen to share things with. Are you still okay with that? Are you going to make any changes? So, constantly updating and letting people know those decisions is something that's really important. And then in the background, we're doing all kinds of things like the penetration testing, right? Like all kinds of things that customers never really need to know about, or but
Can you
they should.
explain that penetration testing?
Yeah, so for SOC 2 compliance and things like that, to assure that you're, really holding to the best standards and things like that, one of the things that's required is penetration testing. It's often called pen testing. And so pen testing makes sure that the bad guys can't get in, right? So that if
Okay.
we have things like digital vaults and stuff, you want to make sure that into your software, into your system, that people are not adding malicious code, they're not adding, crazy things that are going to do bad things to your system so that they could get people's information and things like that. So this is the stuff that you don't see in the front end, but then on the back end for companies and things like that. And this is where you hear things like bank level security and things there. We work really hard on that side because, through our partners, like Google, Amazon, and the folks who host things and stuff. But a lot of work goes into making sure that all of the standards are met, and then even above and beyond the standards, just to make sure it's safe.
What are your biggest challenges as a founder in the legal tech space, and how do you overcome? Because you were talking about like different states have different regulations. How are you overcoming that, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so it's all about scale. So the one thing that as a founder is that you want to make sure that you're not building a product that sounds great to one person, but it's something that you can build and then it's going to be used by many different people. So the one thing that we've been very proud of is that if you're a bank or credit union, you can get Gentreo out to your members. If you're an employer, you can give Gentreo out as a benefit and it doesn't have to change. The whole product gets to stay the same, and so that's something that we work really hard and is not having to go out and build specialized models. And so a lot of the banks and credit unions, you can turn on Gentreo like within a week. We give you the links, we help with the co-branding, and boom. So we don't have a setup fee, whereas many of our competitors will say like $10,000 and we'll get you set up. Whereas Gentreo's we're free setup and we put all this together. And that goes back to that scale and the elements that go into how do you scale a product to be able to take it out one quickly, but and efficiently, but then also to make sure that the people have the product features that they need.
Oh, fantastic. So how are you scaling to reach more people?
Yeah, so thank you for asking that because we've grown so much. So we add about 3 or 4 credit unions at least like every few weeks. So lots and lots of work with the credit unions because this is where they've done a great job of knowing that they need new tools like AI, the web-based things that they can get out to their members. Because if people don't want to come into the branches, they still want the credit unions to be there for them. So getting the credit union stamp of approval, partnering with them, that's been great for us because some of the things we can now provide are all the services that can help with that great wealth transfer that everybody's talked about for so long. And it's about giving the people the tools to be able to make sure that the money is staying in their pocket, not going to lawyers and courts, but going to their families. And this gives them a new tool, and we have some things that help them then reach out to that next generation too that'll be inheriting these tools. And so the credit unions love us for that because, all of a sudden now they have we do a lot on the marketing side too. And that's where AI has been really helpful to us around how do you generate the messaging and get that crisp and clear and get that to the families. So we're just doing something recently around like holiday planning and things. And, that always starts back in September. But how do you get the checklist so that when people are sitting there watching their football game, Thanksgiving and things like that, that, it's not a you can have that conversation now and they can blame Gentry on their credit union. They can say, okay, mom, dad, we got to have this conversation on where is stuff because people they never want to talk about like when they die. And it's a hard topic. But if you can have like great checklists that help you have the conversation, documents that are now affordable, all of a sudden it can go from something that you're always going to put off to like, guys, can we do half an hour? We can bang all this out and then everything's protected. And then you didn't just give the lawyer, a few $1,000 that you didn't intend to. And so we found that different families have different messages that resonate with them. But the one that usually resonates is you want to keep that money in the pockets of our family or you plan on giving it to the courts and the lawyers? That one
Yeah.
resonates with lots of people.
I can only imagine. It resonates with me. Let me ask you. So, you are scaling. What is your biggest pain point? If you could one thing you need to fix, what would it be?
We always want to move faster. right? So like it's the moving faster part. And so I think right now the one thing we would love to do is, especially with AI, you can envision all kinds of great things and you can do it really quickly, but you have to understand too that you're always limited by the resources that you have, right? So I would love to have a team of like 1,000 people I could just send out and go do all these things.
Yeah.
But what we can do is we have a fantastic team, but what we have to do is focus. And then one of the things as it relates to some of the AI things is that you really have to test things out, right? Because I think people think that AI is this magic thing that just happens to you. But and you know this because from the work that you do with companies, it's
Yes.
not magic, right? You have to build these things. It takes time to build them. And
Train.
you really can't and we always want to try to make sure that we under promise and over deliver, and you want to make sure that you're telling people the right things and getting things done. And so for us, we have a fantastic product roadmap around ways that we can go and partners and things that we want to work with. And so we always have to make sure that we are picking and setting the right priorities for ourselves, because lots of things are tempting, and especially even now with AI, because you can do so much more. But like one of the things they told me is I'm not allowed to keep coding on AI because I'll be up at 2 in the morning on a Saturday and think, oh, I could just do that. Yeah, it's not a good use of my time. Well, it's
No.
wildly interesting, not a good use of my time, nor should I be doing it. But
Yes.
it's just there's so much great stuff to learn right now with the whole AI stuff. You
Yes.
really need, and I'm sure you help with the people too. Is like you got to add structure to that. You have to make sure you know your three priorities, how you're going to
Yeah.
do that, and the resources you want to put into that, because otherwise you can create quite the mess.
Yes. And the good thing, a couple good things with the AI is one, speed, and two, it does learn. So as long as you're putting in, you have to teach it though,
You do.
and but it will learn. It will learn.
It does, and you can teach it well because we just went through some of the things where as we were putting in blogs and things like that and trying to talk, and when it first came out, it was suggesting like it was referring to a lot of like outside sources and things like that, but then we kept training it to say no, we only want this to our internal things, like you don't need to fill this in. And it got better and better.
Yes.
And but it took time, right? Like we could not have just unleashed that on the world because like, again, I've seen too many crazy things where people don't understand that AI wants to please you, I put it that way sometimes, and so it'll break out of its walled garden, right? It'll go find sources that you never even knew that you had a blog out there about. And so you really have to work on training things and making sure that you take the time to be thoughtful in the exercises that you put things through, because before you launch things to the public, you're only going to get one shot at that, and the public is going to do crazy things. So you need to be prepared that you have that your intentions are coming through the products that you're putting out.
Absolutely. So next 6 to 12 months, where do you guys see Gentreo going?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of growth and really excited about continuing down the credit union path and working with more credit unions, but then also a couple of the large employee benefit companies as well. And so doing more things to be there for employees. But one of the things that it kind of all fits under this umbrella of the Life Milestone Company. And again, that's really helping us get the message out to people around like, look, if you're having a baby, if you're caring for that aging parent, come to Gentreo because you probably don't know what you need or don't need. Like some of the things that we're putting out soon are some things around funeral insurance. A lot of Americans don't have $10,000 to be able to put together like a funeral insurance. Like they can't pay for the funeral because of liquidity issues, right? Or the money. They think, well, I'm going to get this in the will. Well, that's probably not going to happen for like 3 months, right? So how do you get that cash in the next couple of days so that you can pay for the funeral? So things like that, we found that really helping people understand how do you get the learn the things that you didn't even know you needed, and then how do you get those things. And so you'll see more things on the Gentrio side around really helping families down those life milestones so that they can do the best for themselves and get get good help that's really affordable and respected, instead of just Googling random things and finding whatever's out there and throwing stuff because it just doesn't work. So we want to be there to help people.
And what kind of marketing are you guys doing that helps you expand?
We market through partners. So we do B2B2C. So a lot of our partners, so you'll see things from the credit unions that we partner with. Like we just do a big holiday bundle. We're doing something with Remento where you can tell your family story now, but we'll send that out to our partners. And so the credit unions always benefit as well. We do a revenue share with the credit unions and the banks that we partner with, and really help people with, we do the marketing materials and create all that for them, so the messaging is there so they don't have to do that, and then making it easy for the credit unions and folks in the banks to be able to say, oh, you know what, Gentreo's already made the posters for me, Gentreo's already made the email content for me, Gentreo's already done the Facebook post. So all that's done for folks, and it's free, it's all included, because it's easy for us to do. We have a team in our team that works on all that, and it really helps our partners scale, because what we're most interested in is that B2B2C world of going through partners that value this as a service.
Fantastic. That's really good stuff. Is there anything you like to promote, especially coming up with the holidays here?
So if you do not have an estate plan, which the chances are most Americans don't, everyone needs one. So first, that's the first and most important thing. But if you go to gentreo.com, gentreo.com, you can sign up, and you should look for discounts. Like I said, I like the coupons. But um, the great part is that you can now come online and you can get your will done. You can put together a living trust and a poor will, healthcare proxy. It's all there for you, and it's super affordable. We have a 92% retention rate because we really work hard to be there for families when you need that help. And so we also have live folks too. Like if you have questions, we can't give legal advice ever, but if you're stuck or you need help, we have people that can help. And that's one of the things for some of the older folks out there. Sometimes technology is a little bit scary, but the one thing I want to leave to is that we've worked really hard to make it easy to do and make sure that we're there for folks when they need help.
Fantastic. Fantastic. This has been really great stuff. Renee, it's been a really powerful conversation. Thank you so much for sharing how Gentreo is modernizing the way families plan for the future. It's really inspiring to our listeners. Great information. Listeners, please make sure to subscribe, like, and share this episode of Stay Visionary podcast. And as always, stay visionary.